was a point where I almost joined the Marine.
Really?
I enlisted in everything.
Have you ever wondered what separates the people who keep going from the people who give up? Our guest is Chris Crenshaw, an acclaimed trombonist, composer, arranger, and member of the Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra. You'll discover what it takes to keep going when things get difficult, grow through setbacks, and stay committed to what you believe in.
What kept you going when you weren't seeing anything happen?
I kept getting up.
How did you first fall in love with jazz?
Well, it wasn't the first love, but it ended up becoming my most important.
Uh-huh.
And I started with jazz actually in 7th grade. I was in a jazz band in middle school, and we weren't playing much jazz though, but still it was a start. We had to start somewhere. But the next year I ended up being in a jazz band also in the middle school. And there was one particular concert that caught my eye and caught my attention, and it was the concert that featured Wycliffe Gordon. He came to my middle school around May sometime, and I found out that he was from Waynesboro, Georgia, which is about 45 minutes away from where I live in Thompson. And that when he started playing, I got called out of class by my 8th grade teacher, who's now the principal at Thompson High School. I got called out. Well, I was sitting in her class. I was sitting in her algebra class, and my principal from the middle school called me out of class in front of everybody heard the announcement. So it must have been something special either something good or something bad. But when I heard him play, that was the start for me, because he was doing things on trombone, one that I was experimenting with and just doing for fun, but he was actually doing it in context. So that was a start for me. And when he started talking with the plunger and everything, that was a no-brainer. It's like, okay, this is definitely what I want to do. I was already in gospel music and already had my head in other genres, but that was the start for me.
All right.
Wow. So it's so important for kids to be able to hear professionals play. Like you said, you had no idea you were in love with jazz. When you heard him play, it sparked something in you. That's amazing.
Yeah, music was something that was already going on around in the community anyway. I mean, people had pianos in their houses, and I was fortunate enough to have one in my house. Well, not a piano, but I had a keyboard, because my mom saw me play at another friend of hers house. I was 3 years old. I was messing around and just hitting keys, and then all of a sudden a song came out, and my mom heard it. Yeah, my mom heard it, and her and a friend, they heard it, and she told my dad, and my dad started getting me keyboards like every year. It seemed like Casio keyboard, and just put the beat on and let the music play, and I absorbed it somehow.
I love that. Supportive parents, like had your mom not been paying attention and saw, hey, my son's interested in that, and your dad taking the action to go get you those, it speaks to how important it is to have a community around you. You know, they say it takes a community to really help bring kids up. That's amazing.
Right. It takes a village. That village has to be special in itself.
Is that where you think maybe your love for giving back comes from?
I think so. I matter of fact, I know so, because there were so many of us that weren't fortunate enough to get lessons on the regular, kind of like the students have these opportunities today. But being from where I'm from, which is only about 6,700 people, and the next town over is like only 300, maybe 400, no traffic light, nothing like that. But still, we had the opportunity to be around each other, and all of us found that kinship in music. Some of us found the kinship in sports as well. I mean, Thompson, Georgia is a big football community, a little bit of a basketball community too, but we breathe, eat, sleep football over here. But everybody had some sort of musical upbringing or background of some sort. And we all just came together in middle school, and we had some great times, and it tested on into high school. And we really pride ourselves on trying to make a joyful noise, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, perfect. That's what it's all about. And it's so cool how music really does bring people together.
Sure, that's right. I mean, I could recall some times when we were in middle school where we played in pep bands, and the Brickyard, which is where they play football, was right across the street. And we would march over. The middle school band would march over to the Brickyard and participate with the middle school game. And then after the middle school game, we'd march all the way back to the band room. And on the way there, we would just play songs that we heard on the radio.
Wow.
Everybody would just gather around and start dancing and have a good time. And I'm pretty sure people who would catch this podcast who were from my neck of the woods would remember that. It's a great
So
time.
y'all were just freestyling, just kind of like, hey, whatever it is, let's do it.
True. Well, we had to put in the time first. We had
Right.
to put in the work from the beginning first. And then
Exactly.
once we did that, then it was our time to, just have fun. We didn't
Mhm.
even know what was going to be coming out of the horns. It could be
Right.
It could be Outkast one day. It could be, someone else another day. But
That's so cool.
we had that fun.
It just makes me think about how I failed at that age to stick with music. The sports is what got me. That's all I wanted to do. And I didn't even look at playing music as something I wanted to do with other kids, or there just wasn't other kids that wanted to do it. So it had to be a different thing for you then. You just must have had a lot of friends that wanted to play.
Yeah, but but it was different in that time because we were pretty much allowed to try different things and multitask, if you will, because we were not only in music. There was some of us that participated in rec league, football, baseball, basketball. It was like a year-round thing. You go from one thing and then you go into the next and then you go into the next. But luckily, I had some coaches that saw that I had a little bit of ability in both sports and in music. So, I mean, there was some hangups like here and there. It was like, okay, you got to get from this place to this place.
Yeah.
Or you can't be at two places at the same time.
Right.
One time in middle school, I was on the middle school basketball team and we had 2 games that we had to miss because we had to be with the band. And those 2 games were against our arch rival,
Oh, boy.
Columbia Middle School. And we ended up losing both of those games because 2 of us had to miss. So,
So is that bittersweet because you're doing something you love to do, but you're also missing something you love to do?
well, I had to miss because the band thing was for a grade.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I had to, cross that road and deal with the consequences as they may. But
Was this your decision, Chris, or was it your parents helping you out, to choose what was the right thing to do?
later on, it ended up becoming my decision.
Yeah.
Parents had a little bit to do
Mhm.
with setting the boundaries,
Mhm.
and coaches and teachers also did the same thing. It was kind of like, all right, if it's marching band season, it's marching band season. If it's basketball season, it's basketball season. And my high school coach, Coach Thomas, really made that very, very clear when I was coming up. So I got all the marching band stuff out of the way in the fall, but when it came time to playing ball in the winter, that's what it was. So it was very apparent, but still, we had a great season. I mean, I still remember those high school moments, playing ball. It was fun, very fun.
Trinity, I don't know if you know about Trinity. She was a pro basketball player. Yeah. And she went to,
I know. I followed. I read up on it. I was like, okay, so you were kind of like in the era where you were like in the 2000s, right? Early
Mhm.
2000s. So you
That's
knew I
right.
relapsed.
Mm-hmm.
So you played with her, or
Mhm.
a little bit after.
I was a
Yeah,
freshman.
you were a freshman. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I remember seeing that on TV. It's just like, who is this little girl that's just lighting up the, she and obviously she's legend.
Yep.
And North Carolina's got their tradition as well. I'll go
Exactly.
back to Charlotte Smith.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, oh yeah.
I love
Yeah.
Charlotte Smith. She was actually our coach, one of our assistant coaches on the team.
Cool. What was that like to just have her around?
Man, she just sets the tone. But she's also so approachable and so friendly. She just kept it real with us. It was amazing.
Yeah, they called her Mrs. Jordan
Yeah.
in her time because she could dunk, because she was like one of the ones that she could dunk too.
One of the most humble, coolest people.
In order to do as well as you did, Chris, in both, I mean, would you consider yourself a very serious person when it comes to taking care of business, or were you just out there having fun? Because, I mean, I was having too much fun. I was like, maybe I was just too crazy, and irresponsible. You had to be already a responsible person.
Well, I think in any profession, you have to have a little bit of both. There has to be a mixture of both. Yes, you can have fun because you got to remember why you got into it in the first place. It wasn't because it was, it was mandated. It was fun to you. I still remember putting a ball in my daughter's hand and she dribbling at the age of 4 years old. It was fun. So But that seriousness does come because there's other things, other facets that you have to learn in the game. There's also, and we know this in music too. I mean, we go and we make all the noise that we want, but still at the same time, there are those fundamentals that we have to take care of and get across. But then once you get to that, then forget about all that stuff and you just play.
What
Absolutely.
about the fact that we know that you are a trombonist, but you had to take lessons when you were young too.
I learned by ear up until I only had maybe 1 or 2 lessons.
Wow.
I only had maybe 1 or 2 trombone lessons. I didn't take piano lessons until I got to undergrad, like around my junior year. That was the
Wow.
first piano lesson I took. Everything else I've been learning by ear. I took maybe 1 or 2 trombone lessons in 7th grade with Steve Pruitt, who was a jazz head and kind of spearheaded that. I think that's how that Wycliffe concert came about, because the band that they used was the Ed Barr Orchestra, who was out of Valdosta, and he went to Valdosta State. So I think that connection was what got me into jazz. But yeah, I really didn't have a whole lot of lessons, so everything was pretty much by ear and learning things as I go in school and in high school and middle school. But a lot of it was just either picking things up on the fly or just trial and error.
Did you have to practice though a
incredible.
lot?
Practicing came, yes, I practiced, but I didn't have a real practice regimen until I got to college. A lot of it was just, okay, I need to brush this up. But most of the time, I mean, I can admit this, I relied on my natural ability to get where I got, which was pretty far. But then you get to that brick wall that is your first lesson or your first few lessons in college in Valdosta State with Dr. Douglas Farwell, and then maybe make 2 lessons in, he may give you a C. And then once I got that C, you was like, okay,
Time to wake up.
either time to wake up or time to brush up on whatever it is that he's giving to you. I was getting 2 lessons a week out there, but one of them, he came from a classical background, but he knew enough about jazz to steer me in the right direction. For my lessons, I had a pedagogy lesson, which is, just learning how to play the trombone, period. And then I had a jazz lesson. But I didn't realize how much the pedagogy was going to help me until maybe around the end of my freshman year, going into my sophomore year. It's like, okay, you got to know what you're doing first, because they don't call it a jazz trombone or rock guitar or anything like that.
Right.
It's a trombone, it's a guitar, it's a clarinet, it's a this, it's a that, it's a whatever. So you got to learn the idiosyncrasies of each instrument before you can take off and try to play any genres, because that's going to open up your windows of opportunity.
Wow. So was there a moment when you realized this could actually become a career?
My sophomore year, going into around my sophomore year and my senior year at Valdosta State, I always knew I wanted to do something in music or hoops, but I put the hoops thing aside once that curriculum is crazy in music, because you spending basically all day in the music building, just like the athletes spend all day training in that athletic complex or wherever they do their thing, but they're spending basically all day and study hall and this and that, and it's all. And we say all day, it means before everybody else gets up.
Right.
So yeah, but I think around my sophomore year because Wycliffe Gordon came to Valdosta State, and this was my second time seeing him. And I had this book of transcriptions that I'd been working on. Transcriptions are basically when you hear the music and write it down or take it down, whether it's by heart, or something we used to say growing up, by heart or by memory or whatever. And then you write everything down. So I had a book of transcriptions about this thick.
Wow.
And up until my senior year, it got about this thick, because that's how you learn the language. You learn the language by hearing it, taking everything in, by listening, taking everything in. And so I showed Prop Gordon, I showed him the book, and he saw how serious I was about my craft. This is 2 years in. And he's already putting in my ear, man, you should be trying to get to New York. And I think from that point on, him and along with Dr. Farwell was pushing me to get to that big city. And I think from that point on, he saw how serious I was. I started really digging in and even more. And I started getting more opportunities to play in different settings, not just in jazz, to develop my overall skills. And that was a great thing about Valdosta State University. I had a lot of chances to play, and not just in class. It was out of class, had gigs here and there, and just gave me an opportunity to hone my skills and get right before I made that trip up to New York. I wasn't even thinking about New York.
Mhm.
Like, New York was the last thing on my mind, because it was I mean, you see it every year on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
gigantic.
huge city. Gigantic, huge.
Yeah.
And it's like far-fetched, especially from somebody being from a small town.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I kept working, and I auditioned because Dr. Farwell was pushing me to go to Juilliard too. Like, that started coming around because at the time, Mr. Gordon was at Juilliard teaching along with the Michigan State. He was there. So that kind of put the bug in Dr. Farwell's ear, and then it started putting the bug in my ear. And I auditioned at Rutgers, auditioned at the Manhattan School, and I auditioned at Juilliard. I got into all three. I wanted to go I wanted to get my master's. And at the time, Juilliard didn't have a master's program. They had just got started in 2001 with their jazz program. And I found out during the interview process at Juilliard that if I were to be accepted, I would be grandfathered into their master's program, which would start in my second year of getting the artist diploma program. So I'd be grandfathered into the master's program.
Wow.
I ended up being one of the first to graduate from the jazz studies program at Juilliard with a master's.
That is so cool.
It's crazy.
Wow. I mean, one thing that really sticks out is that you had people around you who believed you. They saw your talent. Like, your mom saw you poking at the piano. You said your instructor, he saw you. He was like, hey, look at this book. You need to push yourself and go farther. It's just amazing that you had so many people in your life that believed in you, that recognized your talent.
Yeah, and one person I really want to recognize is my cousin, Stanton Kendrick. We all came up together since Lil Lamb daycare, because second cousins. And we all came up together, and he plays saxophones. Right now, he's playing alto saxophone for the Count Basie Orchestra.
Yeah. I heard him.
He spent some time around Clark Terry and Mulgrew Miller, and has carved his own path in his own way. But he was a year ahead of me. So I kind of got a glimpse of what to expect, because he had done it first. And
Wow.
not tagged along, but just kind of follow closely with one another and picked each other's brains. He would always ask about his sound, and I was like, man, you sound great. He switched to tenor saxophone and he took off. And he's always had a big sound ever since he was in 6th grade. It didn't matter when, he's always had a big sound, but I mean, he got some facility. Come on. But I got to shout him out. Stanton Kendrick. Look him up.
Is it the same deal with him? He just playing by ear, learning on his own, more or less?
Well, I think his dad played tenor saxophone when he was coming up as a kid, and he had some. I think he had it around the house or something like that. I forget exactly what, but he came up kind of in a musical background too, and same with me. But it was a little different because my dad was a gospel quartet singer. We just had rehearsal last night. Group still going on for almost 50 years, but he still got the love for it, and every time I see him, it makes him smile. So it's good to have that happen.
Now, I have to ask you about your book that you said you did. Like, you started transcribing. What drew you to do that?
It ended up being a senior project, but it was just something that I started with a lesson. As a matter of fact, it was a lesson that Dr. Farwell gave me. And he was just feeling me out, trying to see where I was. And he recommended a transcription for me to do. It was something that I was already kind of doing, but I never really formally did it, because I did some arranging in high school just to kind of update the stuff that we played in marching band, because it seemed like it was kind of a little, we were playing classics, but we wanted to be a little bit more modern.
Yeah.
So my band director made a deal with me. He said, if you write this stuff out, we'll play it.
That's
so that
a
was
great
like
thing.
my first.
And you were like, bet.
Yeah, that was like my first array into arranging. It was my first little thing, and I've been doing that on the fly anyway. But it was like head arrangement. So I would tell folks like, okay, you play this part, or you play that part, and you play this part, and you play that part. And that was kind of like informal arranging. So to go back to your question about the book, I started with can you believe this, Greg? He started with me on a Frank Rosolino transcription.
Okay.
Of the blues free for all from the I think it was 1978 album, Quiet Night, Quiet Stars.
Cool. Yeah, Frank Rosolino, amazing.
Yeah,
sure.
with that one. And as a matter of fact, it's in memories, fond memories of Frank Rosolino, and it had that solo in there. He wanted me to do that solo, and that's about what 7 or 8 courses of blues, of F blues. And so it was like, all right, this is pushing me a little bit, but I can do it. So I went home. Well, not home. I went to the dorm, started writing it out, started listening to it, taking it in, maybe 4 measures at a time, put it on the loop, started hearing the language over and over and over again, get that done, walk to the next 4, get to the next 4, next 4, next 4, and then all of a sudden I got done. So that became kind of a process, but still, it became part of my regimen. It's like I would go to class, I would go back and forth, and it's a little dangerous now, wearing headphones, listening to music. Just listening to the music, going from dorm room to the Fine Arts Building or wherever. But I would always have music going on, so I can always, absorb the language somehow, just to get that into this, because using these, it's a little bit. You have a little bit more on your fingers. When you're using this, you kind of have to like fish around for notes and figure out, keep up with everybody that can do this and this and this, because trombone's probably the slowest instrument of every one of them, but if Frank Rosolino, cats like him and Conrad Hurwitz and Marshall Jukes and Elliot Mason and all Isaac Smith and all of the others and Coleman Hughes and anybody else that can, Mike Dees, my guy from Augusta, shout out to the 706, anybody that can be nimble and get around on that. And Dees could pick up a glass and he could play it.
Yeah. That's what I've heard. Because he plays saxophone, and I've heard too.
Because Stanton and I were witnesses. Because I was in 10th grade, Stanton was 11th grade. Dees is also in 11th grade. We made all district together, right? So we made all district. Dees was first chair alto saxophone, and Stanton was second chair alto saxophone. I was first chair trombone, right? So next year, Stanton's first chair alto, Dees is first chair trombone.
Wow.
And I'm second chair trombone. So that just goes to show you how much of a freak of nature that Dees is. He could pick up anything and play it. I mean, you see videos of him playing baritone saxophone, trumpet, trombone, piano, anything that you can think of. And he can he's one of them. Like he and Wycliffe are just, there's something in that water. I don't know what it is, but something in there.
Need to bottle that up and sell it.
They need to.
That Trinity, I don't know if you remember what I said about Chris. He has one special talent. Do you remember what it?
You did tell me that. You said that, Chris, you were able to perfect pitch.
That's it. That's it.
Wow. And so when you transcribe, Chris, I mean, for normal pedestrians like me, I mean, I have to slow. Well, I don't slow the recording down anymore, but I do need a piano to make sure I'm getting I'm getting better at transcribing. But for you, is it just instantaneous? You just hear the note and bam, you've got it?
Pretty much. I mean, and then there were instances where I didn't have a piano. So
yeah.
It's like, what
That's
you gonna do?
crazy.
Okay.
So you just see the note in your head? You just say, okay, it's A.
Yeah, it got to a point where I was kind of like a science experiment, especially when I got in 6th grade. Like I found out in 4th grade they found out that I had perfect pitch.
How did that get found out?
I didn't have any sheet music. I mean, up from when I started playing piano and up until around 6th grade, I didn't have any sheet music to go off. I mean, I knew the notes. I knew what they were when I saw it on paper and everything, but it wasn't really a formal thing. I just knew the note was, if a C played, I knew what it was. And if D flat played, I knew what it was.
That's crazy.
And then in 6th grade, they started doing this experiment where you just pump a whole bunch of notes down and name them.
Really?
So I named them.
You could
do that?
All the notes in 6th grade.
Dang.
Yeah, but there's a lot of other people. I mean, a lot of folks in the JLCO have perfect pitch as well. I know Marcus does, Elliot does. I think Alexa Tarantino does. A lot of them do. Ryan Kaiser does. He doesn't make a big fuss about it.
No, he doesn't.
He's got it. And there's a tape of him playing his All-State audition in high school, and he sounds like a grown man. I'm dead serious.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a special group, that Lincoln Center. Special group.
Yeah.
So do you think people with perfect pitch don't have to not work as hard, but maybe it's a little easier for them compared to someone who doesn't?
It's a good question. I feel like it can kind of hinder if they just rely on the fact that they have it, but you still have to kind of cultivate and and develop it. Like, yes, you can know the notes, but then it's like a fine tuning of it. It's like, okay, is it right in the center, or is it a little bit flat, or is it a little bit sharp, or what? But in terms of arranging, yeah, it can definitely help in terms of getting notes down and knowing what you want. But then there's still, you have to get inside of each instrument, because each instrument is different. There's different textures, different timbres. Like, some don't work as well together than others do. So you have to find what timbre really works and what combination works. It's almost like cooking a little bit. Just being in the kitchen, just finding out what ingredients go well with one another. I don't cook, but that's what I heard.
You know, maybe I shouldn't try to transcribe. Because
No.
It's so hard. I mean, I'm trying to transcribe Ellington, and I can't hear every one of the saxes. I cannot hear every one of the saxes. I hear the lead, I hear the Barry, and I'm like, I know there's 3 others playing.
Yeah.
But you can hear them?
I got to a point where I can hear all of them, of like who's playing. Like, that's another skill that you can think about. That's just like seeing somebody play. It's like, oh yeah, I know who that is, or just listening to somebody's sound. I can just point out, like orchestra. I know when Marcus Preno's playing, because I know what type of sound he has. I know when Wynton's playing. I know what type of sound he has.
Yeah, so you know the sound.
Just figuring out those saxophone players in the Ellington Orchestra it's a different ball game, and it's a game changer, because he knew how to arrange. He and Billy Strayhorn, they really knew what they were doing when they did that. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because there was a point where we had a piece called Satin Doll, right? And there's like a section of it, and there was 8 bars of it. That sounded okay on the paper, but as we played it, it's like, there's something not right about that. It's like I was hearing it, and Sherman kind of pointed that out too. Sherman Irby, our lead alto player. It's like, something's not right about these 8 bars. And so I went in and investigated just to see what was going on, and I actually made a tweet about it. I know it's X, but my mama bird. I still have my mama bird on the phone. I still got the bird. It's still Twitter to me. But I made a tweet about it, and I likened that section to learning the triangle offense in basketball. So everybody can be, and in the triangle offense, anybody could be a star at any time. Like, everybody gets to share the ball, whether it's 2 seconds or less, but everybody gets to share the ball in some way, form, or fashion. Whoever gets the ball, they set the action on the wing, and whoever's opening the next pass, that's what determines the next action. And so the Duke Ellington Orchestra, I likened Harry Carney to whoever the star athlete was at the time, whether it was on the Bulls, whether it was Kobe, whether it was Shaq, or whether it was Jordan, or whether it was Pippen. And it's like, he can move around and be that star anywhere, right? And what you mentioned about the Barry, like, the Barry could be used as the bottom voice, but it could also be used as the second to the last voice, or it could be used as the top voice, right? And so in Satin Doll, you would think that it would start with either Russell Procope, who was the lead alto player at the time, or it would start with Johnny Hodges, who could sometimes play the lead, but he's the second guy. And he's only the second guy because Otto Hardwick was the lead alto guy when he got in the band in the 30s and 20s, 30s, 40s. So Johnny Hodges was relegated to second, also playing soprano saxophone up until a time, right? So you would think it would start with the lead alto player. But knowing the timbre and knowing what each player sounds like, and this is in the 50s, I believe. So the section was Russell Procope was on lead, Johnny Hodges was on second, Jimmy Hamilton's on third, or was on first tenor, Paul Gonsalves, and that's another key, he was the second tenor, and Harry Carney was on baritone saxophone. So like I said, you would think it would start with the lead alto, but as a matter of fact, that starts with Paul Gonsalves.
Wow.
He plays the melody throughout the whole entire thing, but everything that's going on underneath is changing like every 2 bars.
Wow.
Like you would think it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but in fact it would be like 4, 1, 2, 3, well, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5. And then sometimes it would be 4, 2, 3, 1, 5 or something like that. It would change
Wow.
like every 2 bars
Hmm.
or every other bar. It would
Jeez.
the the order of the instruments would change.
Wow.
Yeah, it's mind blowing, but there's some things that you got to do to either make things right or to carry on the tradition.
Right.
Mm.
That's amazing.
Interesting.
Chris, I have another question for you. You've had so much success, but was there ever a point in your journey where you thought about giving up? And what made you keep going?
There was a point where I almost joined the Marine.
Mm.
Really?
Freshman year, like after the first semester of my freshman year, I almost joined the Marines. I enlisted and everything, but then I thought about it. I was like, I got a good thing going on at BSU. And so my dad and I went, and somehow I ended up getting out, and
Wow.
was probably the best decision that I ever made right
Yeah.
there. I didn't really think about not playing music or giving up or anything. It's just like a decision. It was like, I got recruited, and then things, everybody has a purpose. And I got to give all the respect to those who join the armed
Absolutely.
forces, and much respect to them. But I found out it wasn't for me.
Mhm.
It just wasn't for me. I was gonna be playing probably in a band somewhere, who knows where. But
Mhm.
Mhm.
I found out quickly that probably wasn't going to be my avenue out.
Mhm.
So I kept on at Valdosta State, and like I said, that was probably the best decision that I made.
Mm.
And
Wow.
Mhm.
so it ended up working out. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
But that love for my music, the love for music and love for sports is still not gonna go away. But
For sure.
I had to put it down. But that love for music is never gonna go away, because
Sure.
that was God given to me.
Sure.
I have to always try and give back to him in
Absolutely.
some way, form, or fashion.
What about a time like a failure or disappointment that was difficult in the moment, but ultimately shaped you in who you are today?
Well, I would have to say probably the moment when I don't want to go back to the getting that C in the lessons, because I know that there was something a little bit more devastating than that, but that's probably the only I can probably
Yeah.
think of.
Sure.
But I'm sure that there was something that I had to kind of get over. Well, maybe it might have been like maybe my first year in New York. Probably my
Okay.
first half of the year in New York.
Mhm.
What happened?
Yes. Well, it was by the grace of God that I got there in the first place, number one. But it was just kind of that, and I had just gotten married. Like, I got married on August 27th, which is next Wednesday next Thursday would be our anniversary.
Congratulations.
20, 21 years married.
Wow.
We've already been together for 31.
Wow.
But the next day I had to leave and go to New York for school, to get ready for school. But I think probably between maybe October of 2005 to about January of 2005, it was just like, where am I gonna get my opportunity? I've been working my tail off, getting up to this point. I got to support a family. It wasn't much, but still at the same time, you got a wife, you got to live. So it was just like, all right, what are we going to do? So just kept passing along until there was an opportunity. Lawrence Schoenberg gave me an opportunity to play in his big band. And I also got the chance to play with him with the Christian McBride big band. So it was like, okay, there's a little splash. It's like, that's cool. December, before we got out for winter break, we have this improvisation class every Tuesday. We had it, and like guest artists would always come in, like Wycliffe Gordon would come in, Jimmy Heath would come in. I remember the first one was Hank Jones, and Jones came, Benny Golson came. I'm talking like the highest of the high.
Yeah.
We're looking at them as legends all the time. And Winton came in
Mhm.
that one Tuesday, and I got a chance to scat sing a solo that I learned when I was at Valdosta State, harder than that, Louis Armstrong. And he heard me do it, and he kind of leaned over to Victor Goins, who was the artistic director at the time at Juilliard, and he's kind of looking over like, who is this kid? Where did he come from? Who is this alien? Man, all of this Louis Armstrong. And so I had an opportunity to sub for that orchestra, the JLCO, which was known as LCJO back then, in 2006 in January. So that started like piling up more opportunities as I was doing things on the side with Lauren Schoenberg. And it ended up turning into a gig with them in February of 2006. I don't know if y'all caught Good Morning America and saw that Flash Johnson, the guy that played the Pink Panther, he had recently passed away, but they showed that picture of him playing, and I'm in the background playing my trombone with the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra at the time. That was my first concert with them.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my first concert with them, and as a sub. And things started happening for me. My work study started, salary started going up and up and up. It's like, okay, things are starting to turn around. And then I got the EE call in May of 2006, played the concert at what is now David Geffen Hall, got a big standing ovation. Wynton Marsalis was in the studio because they had moved over from David Geffen Hall back to Jazz at Lincoln Center. And I was going back over there at the same time because I had a concert to play with Juilliard Jazz Orchestra. And between breaks, Wynton had a hoop in the room. So they had a hoop in the studio. And so he was in there shooting. Well, I got to put up the left hand because he's a lefty. So he was knocking every shot down. And every shot that he hit, he would point out an attribute about me. And I'd only known him for maybe 2 or 3 sittings. And he just kind of started like gathering all of this stuff about me and just saying them as he hit every shot that he took. And so that ended up turning into the spot that I am in now. I got in June of 2006, and I've been with him ever since then. But it took that low point. It was just like, what am I going to do? I know I worked for everything that I get, so I'm going to just continue to work until something happens. And going back to Valdosta State, Dr. Falwell put that in my head as well. It's just like, Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra is right there, you know? You should try it. And I didn't know the spot was open at the time. I was just going about my business. I didn't know the spot was open.
What kept you going when you weren't seeing anything happen? When you're frustrated, you know you have this talent and the skill. What was going through your head at that point?
I kept getting up every day. I didn't die. I got up. It was just like me growing up in school, like growing up for school and everything. If you could get up, you can go do something. That was something that was planted in me by my mom and my dad. It's by seeing, by watching. They didn't have to say it. I just saw them do it. They went to work every day. And if they can get up and do whatever they need to do, I can do the same thing. So as long as I get up, as long as I have an opportunity to get up, there's always something out there for us to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that what you would say to someone waiting for their shot?
Of course. I mean, Benny Golson said it all when he said it to us. It's just, you can do everything that you can do. You can practice all the things that you can practice. You can put up all the shots you can put up. You can do all the slides that you can put up, that you can do. You can work on all these etudes. You can practice and practice and practice until the sun goes down and the sun comes back up. But that opportunity has to come. And when that opportunity comes, you make the most of everything that you work for in that moment, because it could be 2 seconds, it could be 2 hours, but you got one shot. Make the most of your opportunities, show yourself, be respectful, be punctual, all of those things that we always talk about and even down to the manners that we grew up having to obtain and be forced to do by our parents and those in that village that you talk about. Everything comes full circle, even in those moments when you're working. It's just like, as you're playing, you're thinking about those things that got you to that spot, and you're still trying to get to wherever level that you're going to get to. It's like Urkel said, it's like trying to touch a star. You know you're not going to reach it, but you just got to keep trying.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you real quick, too, when you mentioned Wynton Marsalis, of course, I mean, I've had the opportunity now to hear him and hear him speak so many times. It's always amazes me how much he knows and what he thinks about. And you know him real well now. Is there anything that influences you or informs you about the way to act because of the way he acts?
Yeah, he's got a mind on him. That's one thing that I can say just from being in the orchestra for 20 years and just getting that knowledge. I tell people I have the best seat in the house because I sit right in front. I sit right in front of him in the orchestra. But I can point to two instances. And the first one is back in 2010 when we went to Cuba. And we were like one of the first acts, if you will, from the United States to be able to go down there and perform. And we spent 10 days down there. But in one of those days, we had breakfast. And he pulled me aside and he asked me to write half of a concert on God's Trombones by James Weldon Johnson. And so from right then and there, it's just like I already knew he was a deep guy, but just getting the opportunity to kind of ask what he was looking for in the performance. But it's just like, yo, you have to be yourself and you have to go out and, do your research and things like that. So I ended up starting around the end of that year and I presented it in 2012. And, I could just look that. It was almost like looking at somebody, you're trying to get approval from them, but at the same time, you have to go out and, do your thing and put your spin on things. So I know we had a good time with that one. And the second thing was during COVID and everybody was uncertain. There was a lot of uncertainty going on. It was like, is the band going to exist? Are we going to get through this? But I was kind of the ones, I was almost in tears when I talked with him on one day. But he's kind of like Phil Jackson in a way. And what Shaq says about if the troops don't panic, if the general doesn't panic, the troops don't panic. So Wynton had this assurance that said everything is going to be okay. We're going to be just fine. We're going to be just fine. We met every Thursday basically on a Zoom, kind of like this, all of us in the orchestra. We talked about how we would move the band forward and still try to come out with content. I know I did a show called Inside the Score where I would break down scores of Duke Ellington's music.
Yep, I was in on all of those.
Yeah, I remember you being there.
That was great.
Yeah, that was fun. And so everybody had their jobs to do, and then we did some recordings as well. We kind of tried to figure out ways to and we got better each time. It started out rough, but each time we figured out what to do with the audio and with the visual. And so it was always things that just keep us active. And that's one of the things that he always talks about. Just keep your pen active. Keep whatever it is that you want to do, keep it active and try to give back to the community, the jazz community. We're all going for the same goal. We're all going for the same mission. And in that way, that's what kind of makes us equals. We can see the best of the best you can have them on a pedestal, but at the same time, there's something about that practicing and that struggle to get from point A to point B that puts us all in the same boat.
So you talk about practicing. When you're writing music, where do your ideas usually come from?
Sometimes it may come from something that I hear someone do. Or recently, I remember going over to Africa, our second time that we went to Africa. And the thing that was prevalent over there, obviously, is the Afrobeats. I heard a lot of that going on. And then I just decided on an arrangement that I did called Must Be Santa. It's a song that we grew up on. We have this big band holiday show that we always do. And we try to come up with arrangements of Christmas carols or whatever songs that we hear during the holidays. And I thought about that one because that was something that we did when we were kids. And so I started thinking about, okay, what beat could I use? And then I came up with that. And then I just started just surrounding that beat with the tune and just, okay, what kind of instruments would I use? So I ended up using clarinets, flutes, just to try to set the mood, but that still at the same time be funky down on the low end. So I had a funky bass line going on with everything going on up top, and then I had my singer singing it. It was and it came out pretty good. It came out pretty good. So sometimes your ideas may come from something that you hear. Sometimes it may come from something you sing. I know I did on another arrangement of Winter Wonderland. We were in Seattle. I was walking back to the hotel room at the sound check, and I was humming this bass line. It's like, and I just kept humming it over and over and over again. It's like, okay, I could use that. So I put the bass line in and just started surrounding it with stuff, and it came the arrangement. So it could come out of thin air. It could come out of something that you may have hummed in the shower. You'll get those ions going whenever that water runs near your head.
Well, it just makes me want to talk a little bit, Chris, about what happened with what JazzTales is all about, because, Trinity wrote this children's story, and she had come to hear my orchestra playing in a concert. I didn't know she was in the audience. Afterwards, she got in touch with me. She just reached out to me, on the internet, sent me an email, said, hey, I've written a children's book and I'm thinking about the possibility of having jazz, performed with it as a soundtrack kind of thing. And I said, well, let me read your book. And, right away, the book was great. I could see how I could fit music in there. I mean, the name of the first book was,
it was called The Day the Instrument Split.
right. So anyway, there's tension in it right away. I'm thinking, oh, good, I can use dissonance and whatever. So anyway, what I'm saying to you is that for me, I work with a purpose. It's like Trinity came to me with a story. Okay, I've got a job to do. So I was able to create music. She's done another book now. So, I'm envious of people like you, Chris, who just, it's like, hey, I can hear a tune and I can make a song work, out of that. I'm like, if somebody gives me a job, I'll start working. But I'm not just running around thinking of songs. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you got something that's just special. But anyway, JazzTales has turned out to be a great thing. And what we're able to do is to reach out to a lot of people and expose so many people to writing and to jazz. A whole, we performed with the whole big band.
Of course, it's a great thing that you started, and you have the capability of keeping that going. And I'm already intrigued by that first title that you put up with it. I know there's a whole lot of chaos going on, and the way that we write in our orchestra, and the way that a lot of composers wrote. Sometimes they write to the person that they write to the. Sometimes people write for the instrument, but then some people write for the person. And so I could just imagine the chaos that would be going on, and who you would give the part that had the most chaos to. Whether it be either the lead trumpet or somebody who could imitate, a siren or something going on.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So so I can already, twisting around.
The wheels are turning already.
Yeah, wheels are turning. Yeah, so that's a great thing that you did. I hope you keep it up. Imagine, let me put this bug in your ear. Could you imagine life without Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie? Because they played the trumpet and the alto saxophone, two instruments. One's a B-flat instrument, one is an E-flat instrument.
Right.
They're playing the same notes, but the overtones are different. The way that they're tuned are totally different. And if you go back and listen, there are some notes that are kind of like they mismatch. They're playing the same note, but sonically it's like some of them's out of tune, some of them's a little sharp, some of them's a little flat, some of them sound thin, some of them sound, thick, but they end up making it work, and they made some of the best music that you ever heard. Could you imagine life without Ornette Coleman and John Cherry? Kind of the same boat. One's an E-flat instrument, one's a B-flat instrument. Can you imagine life without Miles and Train?
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
Right.
I mean, I like JJ and K, JJ and Kai, two trombones working together. I like two trumpets working together. I like two saxophones working together. Heck, I like 4 saxophones working together.
Yeah.
Shoot, 10 trombones. The more, the merrier.
Yeah, but 2 different instruments is where you get that richness.
Yeah. The mix. Yeah,
absolutely.
You all got to come together. And it's just like playing in a big band. It's just all these instruments coming together and creating one great sound is it's the crux. It's really what America is. It really should be.
Absolutely.
All these people, all this melting pot, everybody coming together as one to make one great joyful noise.
Absolutely.
And that's the theme of the book right there.
That's the theme.
There you go. That's it.
Well, and the other thing, could you imagine? I can't imagine being a person that wasn't enriched by jazz and the culture. I just can't imagine what my life would be. It just feels like it'd be empty.
Well, all of those different types of music that they say that they may like, all came from somewhere.
Yeah,
absolutely.
One of Trinity's favorite pieces that I've written is in the new story. It's the one with the Latin beat, Sasha and the maracas, and it's got the clave in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So all the jazz has a Spanish tinge, and it's something that Jelly Roll Morton always pointed out. You have to have a little bit of the Spanish tinge in jazz to make it operate. And that habanero rhythm is in there all the time. It goes even from that rhythm, the tresillo rhythm, the ring shout in the Gullah and the Geechee region. It's all in there. And all, it's there. Africa.
Absolutely. And you should see the look on the kids' faces when we get to go and present Jazz Tales to them. They light up. They're so interested. They're so intrigued about the instruments. And it's so cool because some of them never get to experience live music like that. And so it's so precious to bring it to them.
Yeah. I could just see them lighting up when it just whatever, all the sounds that come out of those horns and the rhythm section. I could just see that. I just see the thump of the rhythm section. That's what kind of, and the thump of the bass is really something that is you have to experience, because we can hear all the music from the 19 teens and the 1920s, and it sounds like but the thump of the bass is something that you have to experience, and live music is the best way to hear music. Live.
Absolutely.
Yes, for
No question.
So you got a good thing going on there.
Absolutely. Which makes me ask another question. Some people wonder, can instrumental music tell a story even without words?
It sure can. It sure can. And it's something about emotion that you can get from somebody that's playing just one note. You can tell a lot about somebody when they play their note. And that's why we always, as jazz musicians, or musicians in general, all musicians, it's the first thing that we always try to work on is our sound. That's the most fundamental thing, because it's the first thing that people are going to hear. And it's the first thing that you're going to always try to relegate and get right, because that sound is your identity. That's how people know you. People know you by your sound. And that sound is that's part, that sound is a big part of you. It really is. You can find out a whole lot about, like Miles Davis. When he puts that harmony mute in and he gets that, see, that's one person, that's one side of his personality. Yeah, he can take it out and you can hear all the things that he can play, but puts that harmony mute in, it's like, all right, yep, that's definitely Miles, and it's definitely Miles. You can hear that about a lot of people. Just that going back to the identity of musicians. Like, I know Kenny Garrett when I hear him. Like, I can close my eyes and I hear it. It's like, yep, that's him. Because I hear that, hear that soul in his voice. I hear that church background in his voice, in his playing, his alto saxophone. But at the same time, I still hear that dexterity that he learned from the greats, especially Charlie Parker. I definitely hear that. But at the same time, I hear that Detroit. I hear that he's from Detroit. I hear Christian McBride and I can hear that he's from Philly. I hear Marcus Prentup and I can tell that he's from Georgia. I hear Clark Terry and I can tell that he's from St. Louis. Wow. I can hear that in him. Yeah. I can hear that in him. I can hear Train. I can hear Train and Thelonious Monk. And I can hear, even though they came up in New York City and Philadelphia, I can hear that North Carolina in them.
It's only 50 miles from here, Hamlet.
Yeah, Hamlet and Rocky Mount.
So knowing how important sounds are, what emotion do you hope listeners walk away with after listening to you?
Depends on the situation. It depends on what I want them to hear. You know, when you write your arrangement, sometimes you want them to be happy. Sometimes you want them to go out thinking. You know, sometimes you want to put them in thought. Or sometimes you want to comfort the person. Or sometimes you really want to put them in that altered state of mind. It's just like, why did he do this? And it's like, I'm trying to get you to understand where I'm coming from. You know, and there are pieces that are out there that can do that and kind of change your mind about and put in perspective about things. And sometimes that music can paint a better picture than the actual picture itself. But having that picture along with that feeling and with that emotion, it can bring the best out of some people, and it can make people change their minds about how to go about life and how to treat people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it depends on the piece. Yeah. If you wanna, we can go out happy, we can go out sad, we can go out laughing, we can be humorous, and we can do all of that. That's the great thing about art. Yeah.
But to me, you said something amazing right there. It's like, can you change the way people think with music? I mean, that seems to be the purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, I got so into music in the late 60s, 70s, the whole rock era with the civil rights and how rock music was trying to tell the story about, hey, things are wrong, folks.
Yeah.
So that's what swept me up into music. And music kind of has lost that purpose at times, but I feel like I'm in it because I do want to try to change the world to a better place. But it's hard to do. It's hard to do with music. You know, it's
Yeah, it can be, and it is at times,
yeah.
but
Keep
you
on
always have
pushing.
to cast the net. Keep casting the net and
Yeah.
try to catch at least one.
Absolutely.
'Cause if you
Exactly.
catch one, you've done your job.
Absolutely.
It's all it takes is one.
Absolutely.
And the rest will follow. It took 20 years to be accepted after he wrote his music in the 40s, and then look at him. He's on Time
Mm.
magazine in 1964.
Wow.
I've been doing this. Y'all
Mm.
just late.
Yeah. That's how genius works a lot of times. Sometimes people, it takes them a little while to catch up.
That's it. That's what he said. He said a genius is one who is most like himself.
Mm.
That's a quote of his. Yeah,
And I
sure.
feel like even in JazzTales, Greg did a great job with the way the instruments split. Like he creates the sound of chaos and the sounds of harmony. The kids can really feel that. They see it through the animation and through the narration. So just like you said, it kind of brings it full circle for them. They can feel it. They can see it. They can hear it.
Exactly. Consonance and dissonance.
Mm.
And the dissonance is one thing that makes everything tense. There's something about a minor, there's something in music about a minor second, two notes just together, and they just give you that look like, when is the release coming? When is the release
Yeah.
coming? When is the release coming? And then the release comes. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Everything's okay. Great.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can
Exactly.
leave that tension in, just leave the tension. But
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. So about being in a big band, like what's something people don't realize about playing in a jazz orchestra?
From the time you start playing a piece to the end, your head is always on a swivel.
Mm.
Literally and figuratively.
Interesting.
Because a moment can pass by and you could try to go back and get that moment, but there's no point. The moment's gone. You got to keep going. Number one. And then number two, there's all these things happening around you. And I'm in the middle of the orchestra. There's all these things that are happening around you that you have to check out and listen. And people have this thing about me when I'm playing, it's like they look at my eyes and like my eyes are always like moving. It's because I'm actively listening. Because I'm listening to each person. I'm listening to each section. I'm listening because sometimes I may be playing with the trombones. Sometimes I may be playing with another section. We might do cross-section stuff. So I'm always listening for that person. And we don't have monitors on stage. So that even makes me listen even more just to see if I can hear Marcus Prentup, who was all the way over on the wing, or see if I can hear Chris Lewis, who was all the way over on the bottom.
Yeah.
On the wing. See if I can hear the farthest person away from me, which is in some cases, in most cases, is Dan Nemmer on the piano. But, you know, you still have to be able to hear those highs, those mids, and those lows. But it's always going. And it's like you don't get time off until you get the chance to rest. And even then, when you're resting, you're still actively listening.
Absolutely.
So it's like a game. So it's basically like a game. It's just like a game. No time for rest. You make a basket, you got to go get back on D. You get the rebound, you got to go back on O. It's the same. It's the same kind of in the same thing, and that's I love that correlation between sports and music, especially being active in it, because it's just like a game. So you get that, you kind of get that joy, and you kind of get that rush from playing with our athletes and then attacking this music and trying to get it right. There's some things that's going to trip us up, but at the same time, we're going for that common goal.
Absolutely. I was going to ask that. Do you think that your background playing basketball, because that's what they say in basketball, keep your head in the swivel. You're always looking around, seeing what's going on. You're helping out. You're defending. You're, do you think that helped you in where you are now?
Tremendously, because you're working with different people. You're working with the same group all the time, and you're getting the chemistry. You're getting the camaraderie. You're going to dinners together. You're going to breakfast together. You're riding the bus together. You're on the road together. So it translates. All of that translates on the bandstand. Whenever we get around, we may use some code words to get from, one thing to the next, or try to correct something that may be amiss. Maybe a form goes wrong. Maybe somebody missed their cue or something. Something may go awry, but still, at the same time, we're here to help each other. We're not out there by yourself. We're 15 strong, and we try to help out each other as much as we can. And it's just like being on a team, just having that camaraderie and trying to get to that common goal, which is winning, but still at the same time building each other up.
Absolutely. That's so cool about correlation. I think a lot of people wouldn't really think of it as a team like that, about how active it is and how you're seeing how people are moving. And so that's really cool.
Yeah, I think I can go back to a time where we did the Rock Talk Suite back in 2018 for a collaboration with University of Kansas. And we did it. We did the recording at Rose Hall, and Walt Wesley and Lynette Woodard came to our session, and they were seeing just how we were doing on this. They were checking out how we worked and how we talked about the music and trying to get everything together and recording it. And so it kind of likened it to when they're into their playing days. So I thought that was an honor to get, for them to come and check us out and support us in that manner. As we wrote tunes for them, we wrote tunes for luminaries that were there. Like recently we did one for, I forget her coach, Washington. He was a coach that was I think it was Marion Washington. Yeah, I think it was Marion Washington. Somebody did a piece on her. I know I wrote a piece on Dr. Naismith.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, did a piece on Dr. Naismith, and we did Fog Island and all of the other folks that made Kansas what it was. But I know we in Carolina, so I really can't talk about that much. But it was cool to do. It was just fun. Let's just put it like that. It was cool to do.
Have you ever gotten starstruck while playing or being in a certain venue?
Starstruck. Yeah, there were times. Where I did get starstruck. I met Kareem.
Okay, nice.
I met Kareem, and that was like kind of the start of meeting everybody that was taller than me. I was at Juilliard, and we were playing at Pepperdine University, and he just happened to walk in the room. It was like, wow,
what?
Goodness. But he and Winston are good friends. He and Winston they're really good friends. So so he came by that time. I got a picture with him.
That's cool.
He came by to New York also and came to some concerts. He even he told the story of how he would watch Thelonious Monk, and he did the whole Thelonious Monk dance where he would spin around, this whole thing. He did all of that.
Wow.
So
that's cool.
That was cool. Just meeting him, and I can remember David Robinson coming through.
Wow. The General.
Yeah, the Admiral.
Oh, the Admiral, right.
Yeah, the Admiral. I remember him coming through. I remember taking a picture with Mark Eaton when he was alive, 7'4", all of 7'4".
Crazy.
Just crazy. Louis Farrakhan, I remember seeing him at Ravenna near Chicago. I remember seeing him. I was just like, is that who I really think it is in front of me?
That's crazy.
So I've been blessed to see so many people come out and support the music. Angela Bassett has come and done some things. Fantasia, I remember her coming through a couple of times.
Nice.
And being part of our shows. And Angela Lansbury did something with us. These in the early years that I was in the orchestra. So, so people like that and more have come through, and, it's really cool to see.
Nice. Did you ever meet Michael?
Michael Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
I wish. Before my time, I think he came there, I think around 2003, right around when Carmelo got drafted. He came, they had an event. They had an event there, and I think both of them were in the room at the same time, Melo and Mike. And the story that I was told was Melo didn't miss. Like they were shooting and Melo didn't miss.
Man.
Hall of Famer, both of them Hall of Famers, so I can believe that story.
Exactly.
For sure. Maya Moore, too. She came by.
Okay,
on
nice.
a show. Yeah, like maybe 2 or 3 years when I was in the orchestra. She came by one of the shows, and I met her recently again in a Juneteenth thing that we did down in Montgomery, Alabama, the Equal Justice Initiative of Brian Stevenson. And it was the premiere of the monument that was outside of one of the exhibits that had like surnames of slaves that were in during that time. And it had like all of the surnames. Like I found mine, and
wow.
It was like all of it. It's a very, very serious yet informative and no sugarcoating kind of exhibit that if you haven't gone to check it out in Montgomery, Alabama, you need to go.
Wow.
It's one of those ones. It's a hidden gem. You have to go see it. There's 3 of them. Got to go check it out.
It's so amazing to see how music has opened up so many doors and connected with so many amazing people.
Changing the world one day at a time, I guess.
Absolutely. So thinking about that changing the world, for a young musician starting out, what advice would you give them?
Remember why you love what you do. Remember why you got into music. Never lose sight of that, because it's easy sometimes to get caught up in okay, I'm not getting this right. I'm not getting this phrase. I got to practice this. I got to get this right. I'm missing it. And then it becomes it ended up becoming a job sometimes because the joy is steadily leaving you as you miss things that you're trying to work on. But you always have to remember why you got into it in the first place. It's whether it's because it's something that you loved, and the passion definitely has to show. And you have to be crazy enough to follow through on what you love as well. Because there's a little bit of an ego that you have to be able to be in front of people and present yourself in that light. But always remember your why. Is it the love for the game? Is it for somebody that you loved, or somebody that you want to get their, I don't want to say get their approval, but there's always somebody that you have on your heart that you may end up, pleasing at some point. But yeah, always remember your why.
Would you say that why also helps the discipline? Because sometimes people think it's all about the motivation. I'm motivated, but then that fizzles out. But you need something stronger to help push you through when times get hard.
Well, yeah, and an image can pop up in your head. If it could pop up over on the side. It's like, okay, let me get myself together. Remember who I'm doing this for, or why am I doing this? And that definitely, the discipline is definitely something that you need to get you over and to get you from point A to point B to point C to point D. It's definitely needed, and practice that every single day. Trying to attack the things that you don't know, or to attack the things that you're weak in. So when you get to that, then you find another thing, and then you find another thing, and then you find another thing.
Absolutely.
Writing things down if you have to. The older we get, we have to do that because our memory is leaving us. But yeah.
I mean, for discipline, for me, it's like, if I'm going to skip a day, it's like, I don't want to do myself any harm by not sticking with it, and not doing it every day. I'm afraid of failure. And I don't think everybody has this, discipline. And some people just don't seem to care about, okay, it's okay if I don't do that well at it. And I'm like, I can't be that way. I have to be as good as something as I can be. So I have to work at it every day, or else I feel guilty.
Yeah, I mean, we get that all the time with our instruments too. You spend one day off the instrument, it feels like a week.
Yeah. Boy, it's horrible to feel that way.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It makes me wonder too, Chris, about your why. Like, what is yours, and has it changed over the years? Or does it change, you think?
Yeah, it does change. It does change. I had to think about that for a second, but yes, it does change. And I think it's in addition to the first why. That's how I think about it. I got into it because it was something that I loved to do. It was something that I had fun with. And then the why became, this could be something that could be lucrative and can support my family. And then, speaking of family, that's all you need, really, for me. It's the immediate family. Extended family too, because they helped you get there. But you got that immediate family kind of looking at you. It's like, all right, what's next on the agenda? And then this, that, and the third. So you always keep that. I always keep that in the forefront. So I love doing it, and yeah, all those equal my why.
So we don't want to keep you too long. We have a few just fun rapid fire questions. You ready for it, Chris?
I got you.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Not a caffeine guy, but tea.
Okay. Early bird or night owl?
Yes.
Fair enough. Favorite city you performed in?
Tokyo.
Oh, cool.
Tokyo.
Favorite jazz album? It's okay if it's too hard.
There's so many. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so many. I will say for today.
For today only.
It's going to change. So my favorite, Speak No Evil, Wayne Shorter.
Wow, cool.
Speak No Evil. Nice.
That's my favorite one. Compositionally, and you said rapid fire, so Speak No Evil.
Yeah, there we go. Favorite composer? All the hard questions.
Duke Ellington. Wayne Shorter, Duke Ellington. Wayne Shorter, Duke Ellington. Wayne Shorter, Duke Ellington.
Flip a coin and just pick.
I'll say Wayne today.
Okay.
Wayne Shorter.
Nice.
Because he broke a lot of rules.
Okay. Favorite venue?
Concert Gabot in Amsterdam, because it has all the composers, like a ring of honor. It has a ring of honor of all the composers that you see when you walk in. Yeah.
That's cool.
Concert Gabot.
That's cool. If you could play with any musician from history, who would it be? Just for today, not. I know it could change, but right now.
I wanted to see what it would have been like to play with Willie Neal Johnson. He was a gospel singer from Tyler, Texas. He had a group called the Gospel Keynotes. He's so animated, but you could tell he loved the Lord. You could really tell he did, but he's just so animated. Just imagine Eddie Murphy doing a comedy skit singing gospel music.
I could definitely picture that.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite non-jazz music to listen to?
Okay. I'm going to take a chance. I'm an R&B hip-hop guy.
Okay.
I'm an R&B hip-hop guy. That's what I came up on, especially the old school R&B. Because, rapid fire.
Okay, that's right. Okay, favorite R&B artist?
Al Green.
Okay.
Cool.
Nice. Mountains or beach?
Mountains.
Sweet or savory?
Savory.
Okay. If you weren't a musician, what do you think you'd be doing?
Either something in sports or a voice actor.
Nice. Fair enough. Okay, so this is our closing question. When people look back on your life and your music, what do you hope they'll say you gave to the world?
I want them to know that I tried to be as completely honest as I could about what I wrote, I played, and arranged. I want them to know that I was coming from a sincere place, and I wanted to always give back because somebody gave something to me.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful.
I thank you all for having me, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. We do to you too.
Yeah, I think it's just like you said. If we just stay honest with the music and keep loving the music, things keep happening, so I just feel fortunate, and so fortunate to actually get to know you better and for our audience to know you. And we're just looking for even so many great things still coming from you.
Yes, I appreciate it. I feel like I'm just getting started, but
yeah, good.
Yeah, but the journey continues.
For
Marathon
sure.
continues.